Glory, and welcome to the third episode of the Temple of Speed podcast. Man, I love to hear those cars go by. This is the Cowboy, Bryant Lucas, and today we are bringing in to the Chopp'n It Up studios a man who is, again, not in the Chop Shop Racing Leagues. I was encouraged to bring in some people from outside and introduce some new people to the Chop Shop Racing fold. And to this week, we are talking to a very important person in the NASCAR Heat 5 community, Marty Hensley, a.k.a. Rock NASCAR, community owner for the console leagues on Facebook. He makes a big impact, makes sure drivers are known and their wins are known, and manages that community quite well. So from Baltimore, Maryland, our guy here, Marty Hensley, Rock NASCAR. How you doing tonight, my man?
Oh, doing good. Appreciate you having me on the show.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. I know you probably haven't done many iRacing podcasts. You mostly do the Heat 5 ones the guys do.
Correct. Definitely haven't. I think this is my first iRacing podcast.
Yeah, luckily I came from the Heat 5 communities. You remember me from Lightyear.
Absolutely.
And yeah, couldn't forget. It was we were around for a long time. We were big, and then we weren't. And then we weren't. No, it was a pleasure to work with you. You know, we worked with Chris Gordon. Unfortunately, we worked with what's his name, Heathen? Noah?
Yes.
Yeah, you forget sometimes. You work a lot. Does Alex Farrell, is he still around?
Yes, he is UTLR on Xbox League under the Lights Racing.
Yeah, Under the Lights Racing. Yeah, so I was a big part of that community. But you're also in iRacing. We got a C-Fixed winner here. And really, his main focus is making sure that these console guys get recognized. But today, for you guys in the console leagues, we're going to get to know him better than any of you guys have ever interviewed him before. Because we're worried about the man, Marty Hensley, a.k.a. Rock NASCAR. We're going to talk a little bit about his life. So, Marty, I heard you were born in Baltimore. We're both parents. Like, we've done these podcasts, and we've actually found out that a lot of time both parents weren't in the picture. So were both parents in the picture for you when you were growing up?
No, not at all. Just a mom, me and my mother. Never ever met a father.
Is that something that you yearned for? Or was it just like, this is just normal life for me?
Well, I mean, as you get older and think back over the years, that yeah, you wish you would have had a father, or at least got a chance to meet him.
Right.
So, I mean, he could knock on my front door right now. I wouldn't know it was him.
Yeah.
So the only thing that I know was me and my mom.
Do you have any brothers or sisters?
Step. I have a stepbrother
Okay.
and a stepsister.
Oh, nice. Nice. Are they older,
We're
younger?
older. We're
Okay.
same mother, different fathers.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Interesting. All right. So born in Baltimore, Maryland. Growing up, I don't know what you would do in Baltimore, Maryland. All right. I lived in Ohio for a little bit. What is there to do in Baltimore? I know it's a decently sized city, isn't it?
Well, trust me. Yeah, it's pretty decent. But back in the day, in my era, um, there was no internet. There, there was no Costco's, no Home Depots, none of that. And basically, what we did was, just hang around friends and roller skate. It went to roller skating rinks
Mm-hmm.
and stayed the night or spent the weekends at friends' houses and did all that good stuff.
What kind of trouble do you get in your early days or as a kid? Is the worst thing you did was spill a glass of milk, or what was
No,
it?
I was somewhat of a bad kid, with a single parent, my mom. As you get in your early teens and you get mixed up with the wrong friends and stuff like that, and don't want to listen. You know it all. You don't want to go to school, and went down that road
You
as
didn't go to
as a
school.
youngin. I did go to school and quit in the 8th grade. So I
Oh,
have
all
like a
right.
8th grade education.
Did you go back and get your GED?
Never.
Never. All right.
I,
All right. That'll come up later in life, so we can talk about when we talk about jobs. That'd be interesting.
well,
Um,
I left home at 12 years old. I've been on
you
my,
left home at 12?
at 12. I've been on my own since I was 12 years old,
Were you
and
like
I'm 60 now.
were you like living on the streets, or you were able to
Uh,
pay for your own apartment,
no,
or
living on the streets, sleeping where you can, friends and stuff like that, and stealing as a young kid to eat and to get money and stuff like that.
so what how did you end up on the streets? Was it a fight or what happened?
No, just didn't want to listen to my mom or abide by the house rules. Because, like you said, you think you know it all and you
Yeah.
can't tell me what to do, blah, blah, blah. And so I left home at 12 and never looked back.
So before you turned 12, what was like the big things you did when you were around your mom? Like, did you do things with your mom, or
Well,
was it?
she had to work. She worked long hours at the
Hmm.
Department of Motor Vehicles. And so I was basically with no dad around. So I was basically, pretty much on my own to fend for myself, to cook for myself, and in that environment when you're that young, with somewhat no supervision around,
Hmm.
you're going to get in trouble.
Yeah, you are. You are. What was we believe that we learn from our mistakes in this podcast. As it being
Absolutely.
having a religious theme, it's all about, hey, we did this, and we made up for it. So if you don't mind, was there something funny that happened as a kid that you're like, I did this, and oh my gosh, I can't believe I did that.
Uh, there's uh, there's one that really doesn't stick out, but I'm sure that there is many
Hmm.
that has happened on, I can't believe I did this, whether it was good or bad.
Uh-huh.
And so nothing really sticks out in my mind or has stuck with me through my life
Well,
that stands out.
as you're going up from 12, you're homeless, right? Well, I guess you would you call it homeless, or
Pretty much.
and
And it
so
was
you're
my doing. I didn't get thrown out or nothing like that. I just left and never went back.
do you wish you didn't do that, or
Oh yeah, but absolutely. Back then, yeah. I mean, I talked as I got older and got into adulthood. Me and my mom sat down and we talked, and I apologized for being a bad kid and this and that and everything that happened in our younger years. Because there was a point in time in my life that 10 years went by where me and my mother didn't speak or see each other for
yeah,
12 years. For 12 years. And then I'm not sure, I can't remember how it happened, but somehow we got back together and talked and seeing each other. And then when she passed away, I got to thinking, there was so much more that I could have changed when I was younger. And I wish I would have known better. It's the perfect example. I wish I knew back then what I know now.
right,
And I apologize to her for all the things that I've done and put her through and everything. And that made me feel better knowing that we could talk about it. But after she passed away, it was like that was 12 years that went by. We didn't see or talk that I'll never get back. That was
yeah,
12 years we could have still been together to talk, to see each other, to hug, to tell you I love you. And that's one regret in life that I have right there. So I'll
that's
live
hard.
with that the rest of my life.
So how long were you homeless about as a kid?
Oh God, till my probably for about 6, 7 years.
What would you like? And I hate to ask, like, I hope I'm not prying. If I am, just let me know. Um, what what do you do every day? Like, you just sit around. What do you do? You
What?
scrounge for food. Like, what do you do as a homeless guy for the days you?
Well, when you're that young, you're hanging around your friends because they're the number one in your life.
Hmm.
You know, then you get into partying with your friends, and so every day was a party. You know, sleep during the day, and you're up to all night partying.
Sounds like fun. Sounds like
Oh, back then it was, like I said, there was no internet back then. There was no cell phones back then. You know, there was none of that. And and there was landline telephones.
hmm.
And I get to thinking, my gosh, if I lose my cell phone now, all my numbers are there. I don't know anybody's number.
Yeah.
But back then, when they had
Yeah.
landline
Oh,
phones, I don't know how I remembered people's phone numbers because you had to
yeah.
dial it
Yeah.
back
You
then.
had did you guys have those books you'd keep in your pockets? What do you call it with all the numbers on it?
Yeah, I had a little address book that had their name and their phone number, and went to that, and that's how I got by.
That would work. All right. So what changed for you? What had to happen for you to get off the streets? What was the change that
I
happened?
think the change for me was is that I met a woman.
You met a woman.
I met a woman,
Okay. It
and
wasn't a
and
moment of the night, right?
no, it wasn't like a one night stand or
Okay, it
anything.
wasn't a
It
woman of the
was
night. Okay.
it was true love for me. I mean,
Okay.
sure, back then, you most beautifulest woman I've ever seen and met, the whole nine yards.
Don't do
And
that as
then
well right now. Okay.
we stayed together. That was the turning point for me. On one was, you know, getting off the street, getting a stable job, you know, getting your own place and
Hmm.
stuff like that.
So what was the job?
My very first job, and I was a young teen, and back then, when you were that young, you needed a work permit.
Hmm.
And I was still a little too young to even have a work. Well, I couldn't get a work permit because there was, you know, I had no parents. I was up by myself.
Hmm.
And back then, my very first job that I'll never ever forget was working for $2.01 an hour at a chicken slaughterhouse.
Oh wow.
And what I did there is at this chicken slaughterhouse, when they cut all the parts of the chicken, it falls into these drains. And
Hmm.
all these drains in the plant lead down to this giant swimming pool
Of blood.
of everything that's cut off and fluids
Yeah.
of a chicken. And that's what they called the offal rooms. So I had to literally have waders on in this pool, shoveling it up onto a conveyor belt that went up to the back of a truck, and that's what they made dog food and stuff out of.
Oh man.
That,
So what you're saying is don't eat dog food.
so, no,
No.
I highly don't recommend it.
Oh man, that's insane. So definitely wasn't a fun job.
No, but it was a job, and I felt proud. I was making my own money. I had a job. I was a young kid. They didn't ask for a work permit. They let me work,
Hmm.
and wow, I had money to buy food and to wash my clothes and stuff.
What those paychecks look like?
Oh,
What?
there, at $2.01 an hour, way back in the day, it wasn't much. I can't remember what it was, but
Let's see.
it wasn't much.
Was it
And,
40
and
hour
they
work
and they took
weeks?
taxes out.
Oh man. Was it 40-hour work weeks?
No, I was
Longer?
more or less like it was like part time.
Okay.
I couldn't even remember the hours, the number of
Let's
hours
say
a week.
25 hours.
Uh, that sounds about right. It was about 25 hours.
So you're telling me you're making $80 every 2 weeks.
Correct.
That sound about right?
Yeah, that sounds about right.
80 wow, think about that now. It's like
Now, out of that, now keep in mind, out of that $80, $40 of that went to child support because
oh my.
because I was a baby having babies.
You're a baby having babies. Oh man, that's
So,
I made mistakes as a kid as well, and there's this song that goes on. It says, "There goes my life." I'm a kid raising a kid. It's like, I'm a kid. How am I supposed to raise a kid? I'm sure you're kind of in those same shoes.
right. Well, back then, like I said, I called it babies having babies.
Yeah.
I mean, and today, I'm glad they're here. You know what I mean? But back then, it's like I wish I knew back then what I know now.
So so can I ask what your first kid was? What age and what grade you had him at? And then
My first kid, I have two kids,
okay,
and they're fully grown and married and got kids of their own.
okay,
And my first kid was a girl,
okay.
and I think I was 17 years old.
17. My brother. That same thing happened with my brother. And do I not ask a name?
Her first name is Tabitha.
Tabitha. So Tabitha, what was your involvement early in her life?
Well, it wasn't much, because we lived in the city where it was bad. Wasn't a good neighborhood. It was the streets, the city life, and me, me as a young, wild, crazy teen,
Mm-hmm.
and me and her mother didn't get along, so I left the city one day and never went back.
Is that when you
But
went to Florida?
no, that was when I moved from the city, like out to the county, out to the
Okay, yeah.
suburbs.
Out to the suburbs, yeah. So you're working at a chicken plant, and were you working at a chicken plant when you had your first kid, or
Yes, that's why I got that job, because my
because of
daughter
that
was
girl?
being going to be born. Yeah,
Okay, yeah.
and I wanted to provide.
To provide, yeah, it's natural. So you working at how long you work at the chicken place for?
That I can't remember. I don't remember how long that I stayed there.
Was it a
And
while,
trust me,
or remember the second job, or
it it was a while. And trust me, in that kind of place and environment, and in the middle of summertime, the smell was unbearable.
horrible
I had to work with a mask with Old Spice
in the
around my
mask?
face in the mask.
Wow. Yeah, that's pretty bad. It's like I do dumpster work, and so I'll go into dumps and where they're just rotting
Yeah.
crap, and it reeks. But I'm sure that's a whole nother level of reek.
Yes, it is. But I figured, look, I have a baby coming. I
I
need
got
a
to do
job.
something.
I gotta
Yeah,
make some money.
yeah. So what was the? So did you get a second job, or so when you moved out of the city, did you get a different job?
Um, I don't think I had got a job for a very long time, because, like I said, I was a young teen,
Mm-hmm.
hanging with the crowd, partying, going to clubs, and all that good stuff, and stealing and getting money that way.
Any any interactions with the uh, Baltimore PD?
No,
So stay out of trouble that way. That's good. That's good.
no, never, never got thrown in jail. I think one time I did get in trouble when I was a very young teen and got caught stealing out of a grocery store food
Mm-hmm.
that I went into a foster home.
Oof.
And then I think I was there like a week. Then I left there on my own.
Yeah, you just said I'm out of here, just like you did with your mom. You're like, I can fund for myself, basically.
Yeah, it wasn't for me. And at the time, I guess feeling this ain't right. And why, I don't know. But then, like I said, then I left and never looked back and stayed out on the streets.
Yeah. So you have your second kid. When did you have your second kid?
Well, the second kid is when I lived out in the county in the suburbs, and and then didn't know that I was having a second kid until the mother contacted me. And then that's when I knew that my son was going to be born.
Oh, I'm sure that was you're like, oh, two now, two child supports.
Yeah, yeah.
So what age was that at?
Oh, I think around maybe 19 or 20.
It's a hard life. You had a really, really hard childhood.
It was tough. It definitely wasn't easy. Like I said, I really wish I had one chance to turn time back because I would just to change some things.
Yeah, looking back, like I was about to ask, looking back at that time when that frame of time, um, what is the biggest thing that your advice you're gonna have for kids that are growing up or kids that are in their early 20s of, hey, I did this stuff. I want you to learn not to do this, this, or this, or I want you to learn this from this.
Well, the thing is, you can talk to them till you're blue in the face. You
Okay.
know what I mean? And but you want them to finish school. You want them to get a good education, and or find or try to get a good job. And if you're living home with their parents and you're a young to middle teen, well, there's going to be rules.
Yeah.
And when you're living under their roof, that you got to abide by their rules. And, and and I've learned that the hard way. It's That's why I always left home, I guess, because I didn't want to live by any rules but my
Yeah.
own.
Yeah.
And looking back on that, so the advice like I said, if they're still living with their parents, you know, respect your parents, keep open lines of communication open. You're still living under their roof, so abide by their rules, and just show as much love as you can till you can get out and get on your own.
And even I think what's important is I moved out of my parents' house 9 months ago, and I was talking about serving a mission for 2 years. I said, "Yeah, I'll be able to talk to you every Monday." And my dad turned and says, "Yeah, we'll see you more. We'll see you more on your mission than we do right now." And I was like, "Wow, way to stab me in the back." I'm like, apparently I don't come and visit as much as I should, but yeah, he's like, "Make sure you visit them after you're gone too." But apparently my parents want me to be there quite often, so
Well, uh, if I was you, be there as much as possible. You know what I mean? Life, I've learned the hard way. Life is very short, especially as you get older. You'll realize more and more as you get up in age how short life is and how quick the years are going by. And when they're gone, uh,
they're gone.
that's time you'll never ever get back. And so make the memories now. Be there as much as possible.
I think what my parents have been really uh, frustrated about is in the last 4 months, I've found religion, and I went from a kid that was not paying attention. I'm 22, um, and I've completely progressed in a completely different way. And they see me every time. They go like, "That's not the son that we had. He's changed completely." So the changes, I think they're really sad that, hey, we're not watching our son grow anymore. He's growing without us.
Right, right. But they should feel really good that they raised a great son. He's turned out well, per se, and it might not have been you've done some things the way that they would want it to,
Yeah,
and pretty much did it your way, the way you wanted to. But still, all in all, I'm very, very sure they are very proud on the man that you have become, and looking forward in life, and the direction that you're heading.
so speaking of that, is there? So you got to kind of watch your kids grow up. When you'd see them grow up, you'd see these, like I said, periods where you missed it. It was there stuff that you're like, Oh my gosh, I didn't get to see First Steps, First Word. Is
Well,
there anything that you're like,
oh,
hey,
absolutely.
I can't believe this. I missed this.
Absolutely. I missed a ton of stuff. And when I was living in Florida and all my family was back here, I was missing out on everything, on graduations and proms and first dates and the whole nine yards. And that was one of the reasons I think I moved back here in 2010. And that
Mm-hmm.
was one of the reasons that it's like, all right, I had 20 years of living in paradise. Love it. Yes, I miss it, but all my family was back here, and I was missing it. I was missing out on things, all because they were back here. Yeah, they can come visit you, but
Mm-hmm.
it's even harder when they have to leave and come back home.
Mm-hmm.
And to be down there and they're all up here, holidays to me didn't feel the same. Thanksgiving didn't, Christmas didn't. Any holidays wasn't the same for me down there as it would be back here with family.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's when I decided I'm coming back home to be with family. I missed out on a lot of things.
Yeah. And there's been times you're like, I've been missing stuff in the last couple of months, and I'm like, one thing I missed was because I went on a date, and everybody's like, "Oh, so you choose to go on a first date rather than go hang out at a lake with us?" So I'm like, well, yeah, I had it planned before, and it's like it's hard to balance that. As a kid, you're like, I want to live my life, and then you're also trying to live the life of the family as well.
Oh, absolutely. It's that is definitely a hard balance for sure. Face it, you're not going to make everybody happy.
It
It
just,
ain't going to
yeah,
happen. But family comes first, you know. But then again, you want your own family as well.
mm-hmm,
And that in turn is meeting a woman and dating and the whole nine yards of that.
yeah,
And so it's a hard balancing act for sure.
it is. So you have another kid. What's this? A boy? Uh,
Boy, his name is Brian.
Brian. Brian, meet Bryant. But so Brian, interesting, interesting. So how much input did you have at the beginning of his life?
Not much input
Okay, that's all right. And we all look back and we go, okay, I should have done this differently. And that's kind of where
until
we get deep. So,
uh, well, like I said, and as I started getting older and they started growing up, then that's when I became more involved in their life. No, me and the mom wasn't together, and they lived with their mom in the city, but I would go visit and pick them up on the weekends and stuff like that.
so to give you guys some input, you guys just saw him looking down at his tablet. Okay, so this guy runs a big community on Heat 5. He's looking down, looking at streams, seeing who's winning a race so he can report it. So what race is that that's going on down there?
I got one league that's running right now it's probably the last one. Yeah, it's the last one of the night, and they got about 9 laps to go at
All right.
Daytona.
Well, when whoever crosses the line first, what league is it? If you don't mind me asking, we don't. It's a
It
Heat 5
is
league. It's not a
Red
big deal.
Hot Racing League
Reg,
with at their duels at Daytona. This is
I,
duel number 2.
man, they're newer then. So because
Well, they've been around a while. They've been around a while.
a year and a half is the
Oh,
longest, I
at
think.
least. Yeah,
Yeah.
at least.
Okay, because I don't remember them back in the day when I was running. I guess it's been more like 2 years since I was extremely involved. But
Well, this is their season 7
oh
that
wow,
they're on
and they
now.
usually
So,
do 2 or 3 a year is what they aim for on these ones. Because usually Lightyear was 2 seasons a year.
oh, they probably do at least probably 3 to 4.
Oh really? Some
This is
smaller
their
ones.
season 7, and earlier this year their season 6 wrapped up. So they
Good.
probably do about 3 a year, three
Okay,
seasons
that's
a
yeah, that's
year.
good. So who's in the lead right now?
That I
I
is a
forget.
number.
Heat 5 is weird because they don't have
It's a number
standings or
two
anything.
car Yoshi Racing.
Yoshi Racing. I forget. It's all gamer tags. So it's kind of interesting when you do iRacing stuff. But I just want to explain why he's looking down, guys. Whoever crosses the line first, feel free to announce them on the podcast. We understand. We want to support what you do. So,
Well, I have multiple streams pulled up at one
yeah.
time on 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 their POV slash and broadcasters. So
Yeah.
that's the only way that I get to do what I got to do is if it wasn't for them streaming, then
You couldn't do it.
I couldn't give them the recognition that they deserve.
Yeah. Yeah, no, you did a lot of work with that. I remember I had to send you logos and everything, and we were
Yeah,
horrible about posting stuff on social media or anything like
I
that.
got
That
it
was
for you.
Yeah, you took care of it for us, and so you were posting on there. We didn't even know it. We were just sitting there. We'd have. I remember at one point. I don't know if you remember this, but we had 12 series going a week. Where
Oh yeah, oh yeah. You had Xfinity, Cup, Truck, uh,
multiple of both.
multiple.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
it was insane. I
I had all the Lightyear logos.
Yeah, you did. I think you got probably have more than I do, honestly, and I still have stored. I think so. Yeah, no. Lightyear had a really good run, but let's talk a little bit more about. So you moved to Florida, right? And so you moved away from the kids. Was it for a job?
No. Well, at the time I was working for a cable company here
Okay.
and was able to transfer my job to Florida.
Okay.
And that's what I did in 1994. I transferred my job to Florida and moved down there.
So Florida was a pretty wild place in the 70s, 80s. I know that for sure.
Well, I
90s was it
left
pretty
here in
wild there?
1994, so
Yeah.
yeah, so it was fantastic. It really was. But like you
Was it?
said, as years go on and went by, you're missing family more and more and
Yeah.
more, and you're missing out on a ton of things.
But I'm sure you had some friends in Florida that were able to kind of bridge
Oh
some
yeah,
gaps.
yeah.
So.
I had lots of friends. I had my wife. I mean,
So you got married. Did you get married in Baltimore or?
no, I got married in Florida. I met her, and actually, she was my supervisor at the cable company.
How did that conversation go with HR?
Well, we both spoke with the manager
All right, and he said,
and assured them that that there's no favoritism. If anything becomes a problem, then I'll personally resign.
"Oh, and that worked."
And because she was there before me
Hmm.
and had more years there than me, but luckily for us, it was well, it all worked out.
Are you still married to this day with her?
No, no,
No.
I am divorced.
Oh, I apologize about that, but I'm sure a lot of people say, "Oh, I'm sorry about that," and the other people say, "Oh, it worked out because it worked out for the
Well,
better in the end."
it was a mutual. Well, she moved back here with me
Hmm.
from Florida up to here, up to Maryland.
Okay.
But the same thing happened, and she stayed here for 4 years, but all her family was back there, and so she got the missing out as well. So she wanted to go back home,
Back
and
to
I
Florida,
didn't, and
and
I
you want to.
didn't.
Oh, that makes and that was mutual. It's like, hey, this isn't working for me. This isn't working for me. All
Right.
right.
And
There's no
so
kids in the picture, so it doesn't matter that way
right,
either.
no kids. We didn't argue or fight. It was all mutual agreed on,
That's good.
and we both understood, and that's how that went down.
So when you come back to Maryland, your kids have to be in their 20s by then, right?
They were they were young. Yeah, I would say late teens, early 20s.
Okay. And so what did you do to try to bond that relationship? What was the work they had to do there?
Oh, I got to go see them and talk, and you can go out and have lunches and dinners, and that way, and then started going by their house and dropping by and having cookouts and the whole 9 yards. So build, building the bond back.
Yeah, that must have been a ton of work. And you said that your stepdad had a massive impact on you. What was the big impact with your stepdad?
Oh, but the the big impact that in life that he taught me, was to treat people with respect, to treat them how you would want to be treated, and that always stuck with me.
I understand that, and you do definitely do that because you work with a lot of younger guys. A lot of on iRacing, you can get the older guys. On Heat 5, you get a lot of younger guys. That's what I noticed. Is half the most of the league was younger than me. Then you'd have the old ones like Drake and Harold Henry Dudley. If you remember Henry Dudley, the old guy.
Yep. And Drake's still racing.
Yes, he is. We've tried to get him to come to iRacing, and he won't. He thinks iRacing is a curse and a Heat 5 destroyer.
I wouldn't say destroyer because I do both. So,
Yes. Yes. I remember when I did both and it was like I could never go back. But
well, I have 101 friends on my iRacing friends list,
mhm.
and all 101 are from Xbox.
From Xbox, yeah.
Yep.
Well, you can add 102. I'll make sure I get on. You can add me as well.
But
You can,
I vowed I'm not going to leave Xbox and just stay on iRacing.
mhm.
I want to do both. I like both,
See, I
and
tried that.
and
It just
so I stuck to my guns on doing both, not just leaving Xbox and stick with iRacing. Sure, there's no. I mean, you can't compare apples and oranges. One's an
yeah.
arcade, one's a
One's a
sim.
sim. Yeah.
There's no argument about it. But all your friends that you can talk to in chats are on Xbox.
Yeah.
Um, and unless you're on iRacing in Discords, then you get to
Yeah.
chat with everybody. But it
So
it just wasn't the same for me.
you got to be in leagues for it to be the same, though. So we got the Chop
Yeah,
Shop Racing League, and that's where it's the same as Xbox. Is
right,
basically your Xbox parties is Discord. But you
right.
have what's amazing about iRacing is instead of you get fields and Heat 5, and usually leagues peter out at about 25. Is usually where they that's the max numbers you usually get. Sometimes you get leagues start the season with 30, but usually it peters down to 25, then 18. On
Yeah.
iRacing, we'll start a season with 44 drivers and we'll end the season with 35. And the fields stay massive and you go into corners and you have all these drivers. And so it's a big difference between it for sure.
Well,
Um,
the thing is, in my case, and trust me, if I knew back then, if I knew I was going to go iRacing, then I would have never ever made the Facebook racing group.
okay, yeah, because it's a lot of
And,
work now.
and it would have never even been conceived or thought of. But after I did that and then decided, well, I want to do iRacing, it's like,
Hmm.
well, I can't
I'm stuck.
neglect, I'm stuck. I can't
Yeah,
neglect what I've done and started. I'm up to 1,800 members right now.
yeah,
And it's like, well, I vowed I'm not going to neglect the console side of it. I'll give up all my racing, whatever I got to do to keep that going. And that's what I've done. I've sacrificed a ton with
you have.
racing on iRacing, with racing on Xbox to keep keep the community going per se, and especially in our racing group on Facebook.
Yeah, that's something I tried to do, and I gave the wrong people power.
Yeah,
You already know this.
yeah,
I gave the wrong people power, and it didn't work out. And I wasn't too bummed about it because when a league gets as big as Lightyear was, over 250 drivers, 12 series, 13 with off seasons, you're just I was burned out.
oh,
I got to
absolutely,
a point where I was just burned out and I was done. I
absolutely.
couldn't go anymore. And so, in all reality, I was really grateful for the fall because I needed the break.
Yeah, you were back in the time. You were the biggest. that was out there, and it was a ton of responsibility on your shoulders to keep it all running.
And we
And
did a good
and
job.
and me and you
But
talked many hours about things. You know what I
yeah,
mean? And and then finally, like you said, some things didn't go the way that you planned on, and I'm really glad that you got a chance to get out of it per se and to get your head clear.
I'm glad. I'm kind of glad the way it went down because, yeah, it was a stab in the back, but also by them stabbing me in the back, it was like, okay, I have no responsibility to it anymore.
It
Okay,
was
so
it
me
was
passing it
definitely
on,
lessons learned.
yeah, but it worked out better because with me before I was going to be passing it on, right?
Right,
You know, and then instead they said, no, we're not going to let you pass it on. We're just going to do it this way. And I said, sweet, because therefore, if they cause issues or have problems with drivers, they're not going to come to me and say, hey, you messed up, you did all this. I'm like, everybody picked this way, and so it all worked out in the end
right.
because I was distancing more towards iRacing anyway, and people could see that and they're like, okay, his focus isn't here anymore. I was trying to juggle, give people responsibilities. It just wasn't working anymore. And it was good to get out, and I am much happier with supporting leagues, and and I'm still like Lightyear Racing is still alive on iRacing, the AMP Racing League. If you remember AMP from
Oh yeah,
the
yeah.
that's an old Lightyear league.
Oh well.
That was the original Lightyear series that happened that started on uh, January 17th, 2001. I'm racing in that now. All right.
Oh, that's cool.
After 3 years after all the drama, I came back and he's like, "Dude, sweet, come on, you're the founder, come back." Right. And so I get to come back and I get to come back with Davis, and we had a conversation, and he's like, "Yeah, you were a young kid." I'm like, "Yeah, I was 19, 20, running this massive community.
Hmm.
That was my whole life."
It,
And it was
it
so,
was a ton of work and responsibility,
it was every night of the week. That's all I
but you
did.
did it. You know what I mean? You did it, and you have no regrets on what you did and how you handled all the years of it.
Yeah.
So, and it was fantastic. You got well promoted. You got recognition for everything. You was one of the biggest out there on console,
Oh, yeah.
and it was a good thing, and that was all from your creation. So
It was. It was. And then it was, I'd create something and I'd go, I couldn't really run stuff. And so I'd say, all right, I'm going to put people in places that can run it. And then I'd sit there and watch and make sure. And then somebody
right,
would do something fishy, toxic. And I'd have to interject and make sure the toxicity didn't happen. And then, oh, I got to put out this fire over here. It was all about putting out fires. Once you get
absolutely,
so big, the fires that you start handling the bigger fires. Well,
yep,
those little fires are still happening. You just don't see them and can't put them out. And so it
correct,
really burned from those little fires upwards if you looked how it fell. And it was like, we
yeah.
still have stuff on iRacing, but I am officially shutting down Lightyear um, hiatus for at least 2 years. The Daytona 24 on iRacing is going to be Lightyear's last race for a while.
Wow.
So I'm kind of proud to say that it's been a good run. Um, but it's Lightyear was awesome. We did a lot of work with it. Um, I'm starting to get sponsors from other places and stuff. And so like I really don't put the logos on my cars much anymore. I always put the paw prints for Gadget, obviously, if you remember all those races and dedication to him. But
Yeah.
um, yeah, so no, iRacing was big, but we need to get back on topic towards. So you had two kids. So you had a daughter first. So daughter's name was what again?
Tabitha.
Tabitha. What's So Tabitha has how many kids does she have now?
Two.
Two kids, boy, girl.
Boy and a girl.
That's awesome. So you got grandkids. Is that your big thing in your life now?
I have four
Four
grandkids.
grandkids. So two with each.
Two with each.
That's good. So what's big? What's Tabitha's? What does she do for work, and what's her love of her life?
She's in the healthcare business.
Okay. And what's her hobby? What's her big thing?
Well, her big thing is she's very religious with and active with the church.
Which church, if you don't mind me asking?
That I don't know the name of the church.
Okay.
but she's been doing a lot of studying and got her bachelor's and like I said, very, very a part of the church, and which is a great thing.
It is. It is. And it doesn't matter what church. You learn a lot, and it's just about being a good person. So, all right, your son, what's your son's name?
His son is Brian.
Brian. Oh, I should know. Remember that. I should remember that. But what does he do for work, and what's his big hobby?
He is self-employed,
Okay.
and the name of his company is called Safe Homes Inc., where he
Okay.
does like does all home inspections
Okay.
on
Yeah.
everything.
And what's his big hobby?
His work,
His
his
work. He
work,
loves
and the
it.
family. Yeah.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Well, now Rock NASCAR, Marty Hensley, 60 years old. At 60 years of age, you look back on your life. We've kind of talked through it all, really. How the development. What are the thoughts of now looking back? You've talked through pretty much most of it. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, like I said, it's as I got older, through the years, and you get older, and you start looking back on things, and um and like I said, the perfect example was, damn, I wish I knew back then what I know now, and if I could turn time back, I would to this certain time just to change those things. And then I'm also kicking myself in the butt at the same time. It's like, why did I do that? Why didn't I listen? And the whole 9 yards of that. Why didn't I listened to my mom or people trying to give me advice, and so I looked back on all that, but then after thinking about it, it's like, well, after what I've been through, it's like I wouldn't want to change nothing, because then I guess it wouldn't have made me what I am today.
hmm
And and so yeah, there's definitely regrets, absolutely.
Lots of regrets. What do you like? I understand regrets, but what do you not regret? Like looking back, what brings you joy of thinking, "Hey, I did this right."
I did this right pretty much as I started getting older in my teens, with raising myself
Okay.
with no mother, no father, educating myself, started getting good jobs in life, um, meeting a woman and getting married, and and getting your own place, and so that that for me was, wow, I'm making it. I can do this, and that's what made me more or less pat myself on the back, is, wow, I made it. I didn't get mixed up with drugs. I didn't end up in jail. I'm not dead.
Exactly. You made it. Yeah,
Right. I made it out alive.
you did. So now looking back at all those years, let's talk a little bit about racing. So what was your first NASCAR race?
Well, my home track is Dover, Delaware.
Okay.
The next closest track would be Richmond and Pocono.
Okay.
Um, my very first race was Dover a lot of years ago. I've been following NASCAR since 1984.
Oh, there you go. It's a long time.
A
So
lot of years.
what tracks had the biggest impact on your fandom?
Oh, was when I lived in Florida and got a chance to go to the Daytona 500.
I get to go to the Rolex 24 in January. I cannot wait.
Oh my gosh, it's massive. It's what a rush. It's a rush. The smell, the
Oh
everything,
yeah.
all the excitement. I mean, the adrenaline just gets pumping.
So I'm gonna be in Daytona for an entire week in January. Give me one spot that I have to hit.
Well, The beach.
The beach. I probably
Yeah.
would have never hit the beach, honestly.
You, you gotta hit the beach, South Beach. I didn't go to many clubs or restaurants there because once I'm in that track, I'm in that track.
Exactly.
I don't want to miss nothing.
You, so for the 24, like you say, I don't want to miss anything. For the Rolex 24, up in the grandstands, they have that grass inside the grandstands.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Through the Rolex, that's where people go to sleep. So they
Oh,
can
you're
still watch the
kidding.
race. Yeah, and everybody's like, everybody's like, yeah, I'll have to go back to my tent and go to sleep. And everybody, I was talking to the Beemans over at Mad Sim Racing, and they're like, what are you talking about? He's like, just go up to the grass in the grandstands and go to sleep up there. So you just get to hear the cars, and you wake up and go, race cars. And then pass back out again. Like, it's a dream come true.
That's awesome.
So Daytona.
You're going to love it. Take plenty of pictures and videos, and it's memories that you're making to look back on.
It's my first solo trip just all by myself.
Wow. Are you
Yeah.
driving or flying?
I'm flying. So I'm flying from Salt Lake City, Utah
Gotcha.
to Atlanta, and then we're taking a 740 or a 737 from Atlanta into
Daytona.
Beach. Yeah.
Oh, it's going to be cool because as you're flying in and look out the plane window, you'll see the track.
As you're landing. Yeah.
As you're landing.
And you're just going to see this. Because I've been to Auto Club. Auto Club doesn't look that big. So I'm hoping Daytona, I don't know, it's only a half a mile bigger. So you're like, how much bigger is it really going to look?
Yeah. It's huge.
So, well,
You'll
I'm
love
coming
it.
from the West where like my biggest racetrack where I come out here is a 4 point something mile, a 4.5 mile road course that I'm used to. So I'm used to big tracks. So when I went to Auto Club, it was like, okay, this isn't as big as I expected, But
Well, my bucket list is to get to Talladega, so that
hey,
way I've got both of the super speedways covered.
there you go. Atlanta? Do you call
Oh
it a super speedway?
well now New Atlanta, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So, all right. So your first ever game was Heat Evolution. Carl Edwards was on the cover of that one.
Yes.
Yeah,
6 years ago.
yeah. Carl Edwards. That one, I heard it was probably one of the best Heat games.
Well, the thing is, I was pretty much like a late bloomer to multiplayer online. Um, I never knew that you can get online and race people around the world, let alone be in a chat and talk to them and hear them.
Mm-hmm.
I never ever knew that until one day I was watching TV and a commercial came on with the Xbox and a game. And I was told, I said, that would be so cool to be able to race against people all over the world and be able to listen to them and talk. Well, that Christmas, she brought me my first Xbox with a steering wheel and pedals.
What year was that?
Oh, Joe. Uh, Probably about 10 years ago.
Tell me that the wheel didn't look uno momento. One moment. Did the wheel look like? Hopefully the Xbox didn't look like this. But give me 1 second.
It was from Xbox 360.
You sure it didn't look like It could have looked like this, like this extra. You remember that one?
I remember that one.
I have actually the wheel for it. So the wheels back then, they looked a lot different. So I'll grab this and I grab the pedals. This kind of gives people an example of how sim racing has changed. So you remember these puppies?
There's the wheel and pedals I had.
Right here?
The same exact ones.
Yeah, I figured it'd be like that.
That's the same exact wheel and pedals I had. That's what got me started and hooked.
Isn't that funny how I knew that? I just knew. So I actually picked this up for free at a game store. He's like, I don't know any other sim racers. Just here you go.
I have that wheel and pedals with my original Xbox 360.
Yeah. So that tells you guys. how like you look at these wheels
And now we
and
have Fanatec's.
yeah, the company that's out of business. The company,
Now we have these wheels.
yeah, these ones, yeah.
Right.
That's a fake, by the way. That's actually a Logitech wheel. I just have a Fanatec logo on it as a joke. So, but yeah, these ones were very interesting. They have no force feedback. All it is
Nope.
literally it's just a spring,
Yep.
and it springs back and forth. And they really weren't that good. They you kind of just like point and hope, you know. So yeah, that's kind of gives you an
Yep.
example. And the
That's the wheel and
pedals,
pedals I got with 360.
you look
So
at these
that's what got
pedals,
me started. That's
and they're
it.
just it's just they're just
Uh,
normal old, nothing special there. But
nope.
yeah, it gives you. Isn't that funny how I got all that stuff just sitting in my closet?
That's
Um,
pretty crazy. We both got the same thing.
yeah. I obviously wasn't. So I started with a G920. As you know what that is very well. As with the console leagues, that's a big wheel for the consoles. So,
Yes.
yeah. Um, so you've so Heat Evolution, and you created the community what in 2020?
January, February. Yeah, May 11th, 2020.
Okay, so we
And,
weren't too far after you in January, so we were okay.
and like I said, we're like 4.5 years old right now with a little over 1,800 members.
Yes, yeah, and it's a very involved community.
And it's a non-toxic community. I
Yeah,
have zero tolerance
zero
for
tolerance.
any driver or league or anybody throwing anybody under the
Comments.
bus.
Yeah,
There's other groups for that, and that's what our group isn't about. It's about helping each other and promoting each other and being there if somebody's down and not to tear us down or bring it down. You know what I mean? And so I vowed that I'm going to make it non-toxic. I'll have zero tolerance for anything being toxic. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm all for friendly debates, but when they start throwing each other under the bus and
mm-hmm.
stuff like that, either I remove the comment or I will suspend them or I'll make their comments have to be approved first before post
Yeah,
something in that nature.
it's a
and
lot of
and
work, and you got
everybody
people that
is
help.
aware of that because it's been going perfectly.
Take a look at this. I'm gonna send you a chat there. I'll send it to you, Striker, so the stream can see it. This is the ending to the Sim 500. I keep an eye on Signature Esports as I do broadcasts for them. That is how close it was at the line for this race.
Wow,
Isn't that amazing?
that is close.
I don't think you get any closer. I really don't.
Unless it's a tie. What's that, 1/1000 of a second?
Yeah, that's pretty dang close. We've had a tie in a league before, and the league you don't know how it decided who won. It just said this person won. So yeah, we've had them, and that's really really close. Wow. So that apparently Eric Arnold just barely, buddy. I'm sorry, you barely lost out, but you will. I'll send that to you, Striker, so you can post it up there so we can see stuff. But let's talk a little bit more about these leagues. So right, I don't know what the biggest league is right now. What's the biggest league in Heat 5? I haven't been around in a long time.
Right now, the biggest league is UTLR under the Lights Racing League.
Okay.
They're
I heard he
running.
took over a lot of the stuff when I left.
They're running all three. Actually, I was their season 6 sponsor,
Yeah, I remember that.
and now they tonight just started their season 7 with the duels at Daytona.
Very nice.
And so right now they're pretty much the biggest league on the Xbox side right now running.
That didn't used to be the case. He had a lot of issues when he was growing. So um,
Yeah. Me and Alex, we back back a little bit. We talked a lot, and and I told him what I was looking for. with sponsorship
Mm-hmm.
and um and what I was actually looking for in order to sponsor. And so I told him, you got to expand a little bit. You got to go from Cup to Xfinity to Truck. You got to do those three
Mm-hmm.
series, get a broadcaster, get some POVs. And he's did all that and's done very, very well.
What I noticed is like, so Lightyear, yeah, I was ahead of Lightyear, but it was about creating a structure. And
Yeah,
as we built our structure, so many people copied our structure. As
yeah,
because my goal was to share the structure because if I can share it and be better, because now Lightyear has an influence on many of those leagues. A lot of them are based off of Lightyear rule sets and that kind of stuff when that influence that we had. And that's even transferred to iRacing. I see it. So an AMP, my system is still in ACT to this day. And a lot of the rules I put in are still the same rules. And so it's really cool to see these leagues like UTLR follow the same systems. Because if you remember Lightyear, so we started with Cup. All right, then we rebuilt. We rebuilt from trucks. We said, screw the
hmm
Cup stuff. We rebuilt from trucks. Once we got trucks big enough, we said, all right, these drivers are advancing to Xfinity. These guys need to work in trucks still, all right? We did 12 race Xfinity schedule, and we started Cup, and we had all three seasons running, all three series running, all right? And then CRL had issues, and we were asked to, by the drivers, to come in and put a structure in, and we did. So that added three more series. Then we added ARCA. Then we added ARCA Pro. We just started growing massively. It was
yeah.
a massive attack. And so 2022 was the big year for Lightyear. That's when we just got absolutely huge. We started doing F1, Wreckfest,
Yeah,
um,
everything.
everything under the sun.
Trust me,
You
you
know,
kept me busy.
I did. I kept you very busy to the point where you couldn't keep up. You really couldn't, because there was just so you're like, what is this? I don't know what this is because we didn't really. We were all inside house doing stuff. We
Yeah,
did stuff inside the discords. We didn't really announce anything because I didn't care about social media. I still don't care about social media. I'm not saying that it doesn't matter. I'm just like that's
right.
not my focus. That's how I was raised. Is if you look at my Facebook, there's like no posts on it. I don't post. I don't worry about that stuff. And so we finally got an influencer to do our TikTok and stuff. We grew even more, and then it just kind of was like it was just time. And I remember the situation with Alex Farrell when Lightyear was starting to be done. He texted me and it was like, I'm like, how are you doing, man? He's like, and I remember the text back. It was said. He said, kind of cool that you come back to me now that Lightyear's dead. And it was like, wow, Farrell, stab me in the back. I can and I'd be nice, and but Farrell, if he gets the right people behind him, he can go far. And so I think he must have got the right
Well,
people. As
yeah.
you talking to him and
Now
stuff.
he does. He's got really good admins in
Yeah,
place, and he's turning away drivers because they're full on all three series.
see, where we would just expand. We'd just go, all right, bigger, another series, get bigger, bigger, bigger. That's how kind of Lightyear worked. It was just get bigger.
And so, well, that, and like I said, for their season 6 being a sponsor, I sponsored his Cup, Xfinity, and his truck, and each champion got $100.
That's good. That's good money for that. I remember when I
Yeah,
was broadcasting for him, and he was willing to put the money into it. So, and that shows a lot. He was willing to put the money into it. We gave him great broadcasts. We got him taken care of.
right. I gave him a lot of pointers, and now that he's seen what sponsorship can do,
Mm-hmm.
so now he knows and he's learned. So I pretty much raised the bar for him, and he's taking it and running with it.
That's good.
Absolutely.
So 3 series for the biggest series right now, eh?
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's really shrunk because we had series on there even before me. We were the small dogs at one point, and you have these other leagues, and so there's dynasties in Heat 5 sim racing. All right, there are truly dynasties.
Yeah.
There was I can't remember what it was before us. I know it like there was two before us that were massive, and then you had I forget what it's called. that was kind of with our dynasty a little bit, but like they were better at exposing themselves, where we were more in-house but big.
Right.
You have all these different leagues. And the funny thing, when we were big, Alex was always on my door knocking. All right. He was always like, and it was always his buddies coming to me saying, and they figured out our structure, and that's exactly what we wanted to happen is we want to share a good thing.
Yeah,
And
sure.
that's what's so great about Chop Shop is because, yeah, you have two owners, and that's what makes a good racing league is that the owners are not in power. That's what will
Good.
make a good racing league is you put the admins in charge, you have enough of them that you trust. And so,
communication's key.
Exactly. And when you're so big, you can't communicate when you're that massive. I'll tell you that right now. You can't communicate when you have 13 series, 20 admins, 250 drivers.
Right. Absolutely.
You just can't. So, looks like UTLR is doing good. It's good to see that the heat communities are still going. Drake has got a league, right? He's still got his league going, right?
I believe so, yes. I think it's still called CRL.
It's called so that's CRL was brought to its knees and then brought back up by CRL Party.
Yeah.
So did Henry take over CRL?
That I don't know.
So there's been some stuff going on there that I have no idea about, but
me neither, because nobody. I mean, I know.
anymore.
Yeah, nobody has their POV or broadcasts anymore, and I mean, I have their league logos, but I never see it or post it to the group because nobody does their POV or broadcast it.
So, all right, interesting. Well, yeah. So do you mind? So I'm a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. I'm going to be leaving for a 2-year mission proselyting. You know those guys in the white shirts with a little badge that knock on your door?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah. That's what I'm going to be going to go do for 2 years.
Oh, nice.
So I'm starting to get into training now and getting better. But do you mind if I share a little message with you?
Sure.
All right. So one of my buddies, Connor, actually, this is a message was designed for him, but I'm so into racing, like we both are, right? That everything in my life's like, hey, this can relate to racing this way. But in life, when you go out to a racetrack, you hit Le Mans, right? It's all about hitting the perfect line, right? You can envision it in your head, right?
Right.
You can see, all right, I got to hit this turtle here at this speed and this gear, turn the wheel this way and head for the next corner.
I follow you.
And you go out there every race, and your goal is what? To try to hit the perfect line every time.
Absolutely.
Right? Life is the same way, guys. If you can attack life in the exact same way and go, all right, I'm going to go out there. I'm going to go try to hit that perfect line. I'm going to go try out there and go try to make a difference. And I'm going to go work, and I'm going to make a difference and work hard. If you can go out there and try to find that perfect line, you're going to find that purpose in life.
Absolutely.
So,
I agree.
you need to get out there and you need to push. You need to find the perfect line and prove, because as you race, you go out there and you find, hey, this works better, And in life, you do the same thing. You go, I talked to this person this way. I probably should have phrased it as a question rather than a demand or anything like that.
What always stuck in my mind is you're not practicing to get it right. You're practicing not to get it wrong.
Exactly. And that's the same thing in racing. You're practicing to try to not get it wrong. You just want to hit the area, right? And there's always, and we're always trying to improve. All of us are working on ourselves, whether it's spiritually, financially, physically, in relationships even. You're always trying to hit that perfect line. So I just want to go and say, guys, like, hey, if you approach life the same way you hit that racetrack, you're going to get a different perspective in life and be able to improve. And be able to go out there and attack and make a difference. So, and then I also like to share a quick scripture, if you don't mind.
Sure.
All right. I'm a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. We believe in a thing called the Book of Mormon. I don't know if you've ever heard of that.
I've heard of it.
So I try not to share scriptures out of there, but I seem to kind of float to there. So we got a quick scripture here, Mosiah 3:3-4. And he said unto me, awake and hear the words which I share. pardon me. He said, and he said unto me, Awake, and hear the voice which I shall tell thee. For behold, I have come to declare unto you the glad tidings of great joy. For the Lord hath heard thy prayers, and hath judged thy of righteousness, and hath sent me to declare thee that thou mayest rejoice, and that thou mayest declare unto thy people that they may also be filled with joy. So it just says, hey, if you come unto me, awake, listen to my words. What am I saying? Um, you know, I bring unto you glad tidings and great joy. In the next verse, it says, if you are of this righteousness, you're going to receive this joy. You're going to feel the joy of life. If you go out there in righteousness, you go out there to pursue, you go out there and you listen to other people and listen to either, if you have a Lord, you listen to your Lord or your God, and that you're going to be able to make a difference, and you'll be able to feel that joy at life. You hit that racetrack as hard as you can, and you hit that perfect lap. You hit the lap as good as you can. You feel joy in that. Just like in life, if you do the same thing, you'll feel that joy. So I just want to, bear my testimony that go out there, attack, and make a difference. And you can
Absolutely.
go out
Couldn't agree
there
with you more.
and make a difference. And I say that in Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Amen, brother. But dude, that was actually a great podcast. I've got to get out about 38 more of these, maybe 40 more of these before February. So I might hit you up for a second episode, a shorter one, as we do a
That's
combined.
fine.
So
Hey, just
I,
hit me up. I really appreciate you having me on the show. It's very informative. And like I said, thank you and the entire organization for letting me be a part of your show, and at least from mainly a console side of it.
Yes. Yeah. So we hope to see you. Maybe, if you want to do an iRacing league, we can get you in for a one-off with Chop Shop. Well, you can pick the race, and I can try to coordinate that for you, so you can come and experience a league race with the Chop Shop Racing League. We'd love to have you. We
Well, I appreciate the invite. It's just hard for me to get
It
away
is.
with the leagues.
It
I,
is.
I just I can't neglect them. I feel really bad if I take a night off to go racing, which I know I have to.
Yeah.
It's just I can't I don't know right now what night do I want to take off out of 7
Yes.
just to go racing and not cover leagues or post leagues, and I haven't found that answer yet.
You're right. I remember when I was in the community, you would make a post and you'd say, "Hey guys, I'm really sorry, but there's gonna be these 2 nights where I'm just not going to be posting. I really apologize." And you could apologize profusely because you're like, "I feel so bad."
Right, right.
So,
Uh,
everybody,
I don't want to miss nothing.
yeah, you don't want to miss anything. But everybody, rock NASCAR, Marty Hensley, 60-year-old owner of this community, big in the NASCAR Heat 5 community. He was the man when Lightyear was in Heat 5, and he is still the man in the console series for the NASCAR sides. If you want to make a difference in iRacing, this is the man you come and talk to. If he endorses your league, that makes a huge difference in the community. His name matters. So we just want to thank him, everybody. Please shoot him. I'll give you an invite to the Discord server for Chop Shop so that people can reach out to you once this episode is released. I wouldn't expect it to be released for probably 2, 3 to 4 weeks because we're starting to stack them up. So that way, when I leave, we're trying to prepare enough episodes so that when I leave on my mission for 2 years, they'll be released throughout my mission. And so that way
You have it going, sure.
have it keep going. Then I come back and do an episode when I come back when I'm bald
Right.
and out of the stress. When I'm bald from the stress. So, no, I really appreciate it, guys. Make sure if you have any questions about him, I'll make sure he gets into the Discord. You guys can reach out to him on Discord. What's your Discord handle so that they can reach out to you?
My Discord is Marty Hensley #38 on Discord.
Okay, so I'll make sure he gets into the Discord. You can just hide it down there. That way your name's in there, whatever you got to do. But we appreciate you doing it tonight. And I just want to thank everybody who came out and watched. It was a great episode. Hour and 15 minutes, perfect timed. Yesterday it went way over. We went 20 minutes over schedule. This guy had it down. We got to learn about how you need to step back in life and look at what you're doing before you do it. Kind of realize the actions you have. So
Pretty much slow down and smell the roses.
amen. That's true.
I'm
Just let
telling
it
you,
go.
because the years are clicking by.
I was talking to my grandma the other night, and she said, and I said, is it like literally you snap your fingers and you're 80? And she's like, yep, that's exactly how it works. You snap your fingers and you're 80. Before you know it, it's gone.
Yep.
It's you're at the end of your life, and it's over. So
Absolutely.
so like he said, slow down, smell the roses. I just want to thank everybody at Chop Shop for coming out and watching this. We gotta thank Signature Esports. You're gonna see his clip on there of that amazing finish in the Sim 500 that he's gonna post. I want to thank Andrew Davis. We're gonna get him on the podcast soon. I want to thank our interview last night, Derek. You guys will see his soon. Well, yes, I've already seen his. Good podcast before. A long one. I'm sorry about that. But everybody at Chop Shop, Michael Strickland, John Hammond, Jerry Culver, Brad Dove, Eric, Robert Church, Joseph Grijalva. Come on. We're trying to get the interview with you, man. We're begging for it. Get in here, dude. Same thing with you, Michael Newbrow. We're waiting. We're waiting for you. I'm hoping to get Andrew in here to do an interview. Andrew Davis as well. Get him in for an interview. Maybe we'll get Aaron from the AMP Racing League as well. But I want to thank everybody for coming in and watching, because especially it was nice to talk Lightyear, because I haven't talked Lightyear in a long time. And there's a lot of pride with all the work that was done there. So I appreciate that. So I just want to thank everybody for coming out. And thank you for watching. And good night.